Today, let's get to listen to stories of triumph amidst failures, courage despite fear, strength through weakness, and even the occasional hopeful cheer from personal punny experiences. I am your host, RKaye, and this is the BetterU podcast. What is up, fam? Welcome to another episode of the BetterU podcast. Coach RKaye here, and thank you so much for joining me in today's show. Now, again, we are still in the love month, but for today, actually, we will be talking more about a breakup instead of a love story, pretty much. But today's breakup is something that will be very useful to all of us because for today's topic, we will be talking about breaking up with common bad fitness habits, or what we normally think would be okay with regard to our fitness journey, but it's actually sometimes practices that aren't truly productive and fruitful for our own journey ahead of us, or to help us reach the goals that we actually want. Now, of course, there are several things that we can discuss today, but of course, we don't have a lot of time really. But with today's show, we shall do our best. I shall do my best to discuss with you guys some of the common misconceptions that I myself have experienced, as well as people who I have trained or people who I've gotten to interact with through the years and through being a fitness professional, being in the gym, also online. All right. So first off, all right, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of different, fitness ideologies, or there are different fitness advice that you yourself have been able to listen to, or maybe hear about, or actually experience on your own. But of course, despite these different despite these different experiences and stories that we get to encounter, not all of those are actually productive or would be helpful to every single person, okay? And what I mean by this is that many of the habits that people tend to get into okay, my sentence structure there wasn't really tight, but yeah, so basically what I'm trying to get at is that not everything that we do get to encounter in our own fitness journey, not all of it will be beneficial for each and every person. And what I'm getting at here is that fitness is pretty much something that is really personalized. It is something individualized. There may be 1, 2, or 3 things that people can get to share with their own fitness journey, but in entirety, an entire fitness program and maybe even a diet regimen will not necessarily be the same from one person to the next, all right? Oftentimes, a lot of it is very, very unique to each individual. And where am I getting at here? I am getting at the idea that, a lot of us should be breaking up with the habit of believing that every single thing that we see online, especially, will be directly applicable to us. All right. And that's one of the many things that currently the fitness industry needs to really work on, telling more people about. All right. I myself being a trainer, and especially online currently, I do get the idea about, you wanting to promote your own training program, your own diet regimen to everyone. It can be beneficial in a way, and to a certain degree, to a certain extent, but there always should be that responsibility for any fitness professional, whether you're a dietitian, you're a physical therapist, you're a personal trainer, a coach. There's always that responsibility that should fall to us. Okay, that is from our end. There's supposed to be that responsibility to tell people that the programs that we share are beneficial and can be beneficial to everyone, but you have to take note and be cautious that not all of it can actually be 100% something that will be productive for your own health. All right. And what I'm talking about here is, let's say, as an example, let's say that I have a program that is very high intensity, that is very advanced. All right. I can tell everyone that, you can join this particular program. But of course, if you are brand new to anything, all right, starting from scratch, maybe you even have, certain health deficiencies that will not really enable you to go through a very high intensity program yet, at least not yet. It is duly wrong for me to tell you that, oh yeah, you can join this program. All right. However, of course, many trainers who are already or have been in the industry for a very long time, what we normally would do is, if you are starting from scratch, what we do is we regress the program, or we help you to get into the program within your own level of fitness. All right. So pretty much what I am trying to tell you guys here is that, again, all training programs are essentially very unique. It should be very unique to your own needs, to what you can do, to your schedule, to your fitness level, and whatever it is, other health issues that you are experiencing. These are the certain types of scenarios that you should also really look into first before really deep diving and really committing yourself to a particular, whether it's a training program, whether it's a diet or a nutrition plan. These are all the different things that you have to be very cautious about. All right. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it. All right. All I'm saying here is that you should always look at what is best for you. All right. It shouldn't, and yeah, it is something that has to cater to you. It is not the other way around. All right. So the programming, the diets, any type of plan throughout your fitness journey should be something that adapts to you. It is not you who has to adapt to whatever it is that you currently have in front of you, aka your training plan, your diet plan, etc. All right. So that is one of the many things that we should break up with, all right? In terms of, making our journey to become better, all right? Now, another thing that I believe we should be discussing today as well is many of us should also be starting or actually identifying and breaking up with the idea of all or nothing, all right? And I believe I've been able to talk about this a little bit in a couple of episodes previously, but today I shall tell you again. All right, I believe this is a habit. All right, this is a common idea that a lot of people think is okay, or a lot of people don't necessarily identify as something that is too, ridiculous of an idea, or a lot of people think that it's something normal. It's something that a lot of people in the fitness industry talk about. So, maybe it is something that's all right. But in entirety, it is something really that can, it actually can hinder and become an obstacle in your own fitness journey. And when I talk about all or nothing, as an example, let's say that you are very, very tuned into your commitment and your consistency with training. All right. So let's say that within a span of a month, you were able to complete your training program, which is training 3 times a week. But unfortunately, for your second month of training, instead of having enough control with your schedule, let's say that, you had a lot of personal stuff to deal with, you have a very busy work schedule. Also, let's add on to the uniqueness of your busy schedule. Let's say you were offered a scholarship on top of whatever other things that you need to do at work. All right. So pretty much your schedule is jam-packed. And so for your second month of training, you literally cannot be able to replicate staying as consistent as your first month. But because you have that all or nothing thinking, or because you believe that your training consistency, if you miss a training session, that all of the work that you've done will all be like completely erased, you decide to just fall off the wagon, or wave your white flag, like, okay, I missed one training session for the month, doesn't make sense for me to complete the rest of the month, so I just won't go through training anymore for my second month. I'll just continue on as the third month progresses. But unfortunately for you, let's say for the third month, or supposedly the third month in line for your training program, you still have a jam-packed schedule. So what happens is it became, instead of something that you tried to work on, meaning staying consistent, at least maybe even going down to training at least once a week, what happens is, because you couldn't stick to the original pattern of training, what you did was just to give up and forget about it. So it's either you get all that 12 sessions in a month, or you don't get anything at all. And it's the same for, let's say, your diet. All right. So let's say you had an opportunity where you were able to consistently eat the food plan that was given to you by a nutritionist, a dietitian. And then what happened was that you weren't able to, let's say, eat the meal that you were supposed to eat. All right. Let's say that in a week's time, there was one day where you didn't really eat what was supposed to be planned for that meal. Instead, you went out with friends, or maybe with your family, or maybe with your partner, and then you ate whatever you wanted. And so because of that, you're like, oh, okay, I missed one meal. Might as well miss all of the other meals altogether. All right. That's pretty much what I mean by all or nothing thinking. All right. And a lot of us, I myself have also experienced that. I've had a few clients who've also experienced that. It's something I think that also coincides with people thinking that their fitness journey has to be perfect. Perfecto. All right. And yeah, I believe, this is one of the many different fitness habits or thoughts that people should actually look into and should really break up with. All right. Because again, instead of, making sure that you still stay within, as much commitment as you can, even though it's not as full of a commitment, all right, at least you were able to do something than nothing, all right? Because again, being able to do something is a lot more than doing nothing at all right? So instead of, being so conscious about making sure that everything runs out perfectly throughout your fitness journey, I do advise that instead of thinking that way, be able to look into it and essentially learn how to be flexible, learn how to adapt to your own personal story. Because again, not each and every day comes to us exactly the same, right? Even despite having your own personal schedules that you make sure to build up, every month. Let's say you plot out your schedule, whenever you go to work, whenever you go to school, whenever you spend time with family and friends, etc. It won't necessarily always happen as we have planned. So the best thing to really do is just to stick with whatever you can be able to do each time or each day, all right? And then just pretty much adjust your training and your meals, even your sleep and your rest. So yeah, instead of, worrying about making sure that everything is totally perfect, just be sure to adapt and try to be very flexible with whatever it is that happens every day that occurs in your life, all right? Because we pretty much do that in a way every day, right? You have your own particular schedules that you want to and are able to follow, but at times it won't necessarily happen as you had planned. But of course, you do your best to really just go with the flow and go on with your day, right? And so, even with your training, with your meals, your rest, your recuperation, it should be also the same as well. All right. And so, yeah, there are pretty much a few different things that, we really get to take note of when it comes to our fitness journey. And these are some of the different things that we don't necessarily think of our as particular habits, but if you take a look at it, it really is or has been something that a lot of people really get to experience. And it may be something that you yourself have been able to include in your own fitness journey. You just didn't really notice it, but maybe now you can look back and see that, okay, this is or was something that really made it a little bit harder for me to continue on with my fitness journey, and it didn't really help me to stay consistent. And so because of that, I wasn't really able to sustain what I wanted to accomplish. So at least today, after watching the show, you will be able to, realize or recognize that, hey, I should actually be breaking up with these ideas that I have often, believed to be something that I should be doing, but I really should, watch out for it more and be cautious about. And before we wrap up today's show, another thing that I think many of us should also consider is breaking up with particular goals that aren't necessarily helpful to our journey. All right. And what I'm talking about is that, goal setting, I've always talked about it, is something that is very crucial with any, any fitness journey, with any program that is created, whether it's a training program or a diet program. There's always supposed to be a touch of reality to it, because sometimes people tend to create or look forward to a goal that is not really realistic for them. Some people think that, when they push their goal like really, really high, they think that it is a great motivating factor. It can be a very good motivating factor, but it can also result to you getting demoralized if you do not reach the goal, especially because a lot of the times when these unrealistic goals are set up, most of the time they become unrealistic because the key factor to it is the time constraint that a lot of people put into it. All right. So, and what I mean by this is, as an example, is, and I don't want to exaggerate, but sometimes people do tend to do it this way. Let's say that you need to lose maybe between 20 to 30 pounds. All right. Let's push it to the limit and say it's 30 pounds. All right. And sometimes the unrealistic factor to it is you press on and give yourself an ultimatum. So let's say You want to lose the 30 pounds within 30 months. 30, sorry, not 30 months, within 30 days. All right. So that's pretty much pushing yourself to the limit, because ideally weight gain and weight loss are between 1 to 2 pounds as safest in a week. So you pressing yourself and stressing yourself to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, I'm not saying it's not achievable. It can be, especially if you really, really want to push yourself. Okay, fine. It is something that you can do. But is it safe? Is it healthy? Is it something that will help you to stay within the practice or the longevity of your journey, or sticking to it for the long run? Is it something that will happen? I'm not really sure, because oftentimes what happens is when you push yourself to that limit, to an extreme limit, what happens or what is created is overtraining. You get very exhausted. What you do after the 30-day period is, if you have achieved your goal, what do you do after that? And what oftentimes happens after that is you just stop doing it all, and instead of just losing that weight, what happens maybe within the next couple of weeks, couple of months, you gain back the weight, maybe even more. All right. And so that becomes like such a vicious cycle for many people to experience. And so again, this is one of the many things that we should all learn to break up with. All right. Being able to stick to more realistic goals throughout our fitness journey is something that, first and foremost, we'll be able to stick with. All right. Staying on track, staying consistent, not just after a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, staying consistent for as long as we can as we grow older is often what is the best that happens. It's not just the weight loss, the muscle gain, etc. It's pretty much being able to tell yourself that you cannot stay away from staying healthy and staying physically active. All right. That is the ultimate goal pretty much for all of us. And I hope that that is something that you get to want to achieve for yourself as well. Okay. And so that is what we have for today's show, everybody. I would like again to thank you all for joining me and listening to my blabbering today in today's show. All right. Now, guys, if you have watched this show in its entirety, and you have also watched and listened to the previous episodes, please, I hope that you get to click on that subscribe button. And if not, yeah, you can do that now because whenever you guys subscribe, it does really help the channel a lot. If today's show was something that you would like to share with somebody else, your friends, your family members, please go ahead and click that share button. Also, it wouldn't hurt to click that like button as well, guys. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave all of that in the comment section below. Just letting you know that if you do, I will try my best to answer those. And you may never know as well, maybe I can include some of your questions in the next episodes that we have. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me in today's show. Coach RKaye here, reminding you always to never give up on your movement journey because it's never too late to move. Bye-bye, guys. See you again.